yeah, Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah.
Welcome to Game of Thrones chat, season 6, episode 1, The Red Woman. I'm Dan and I'm unsullied. I've not read the books in the series Song of Ice and Fire by George R. Martin.
I'm Thomas. I'm double solid because I've read the books twice.
I must tell you, it's very hard to remain unsullied now because people think that the risk of spoilers is gone. So now people are spoiling everything. Trailers, production stuff. But we will try not to.
Yes, we will try not to spoil. Although, in a sense, now the TV series is spoiling the books.
Yeah,
so
everything. We must not consider that. So if you are a book reader and don't want to know what happens on the show, do not listen to us.
Yes, and if you are a book reader and you do have some information, don't tell us that until it's happened on the show, or maybe not even then.
Exactly. You can find this podcast on iTunes and on Hard Nerd Cafe on YouTube. We very much like to have iTunes reviews, so please give those to us. We would be very happy. Let's talk about the Red Woman.
Yes. So we start at the wall where they are really hammering in the fact that Jon Snow is dead.
What an amazing shot. The camera zooms in there and it's awesome. Very beautiful.
Yeah, so they stabbed him and then they just left him there.
Yeah.
And then Sir Davos is like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh my god, he's dead.
I think they left him there because they had the traitor sign, so everybody should know that that's a traitor lying there.
Uh-huh.
But I have a couple of questions here about the initial scene. So Ghost is howling, which my dog appreciated a lot, but it was not her favorite part of the episode.
Okay.
And then Davos shows up. Nobody has killed Ghost. They're not. He will starve to death or something.
Yeah.
And then Davos shows up, but with him are Dolores Ed and those other guys. Do you know the name of anyone else in that group?
I don't remember Ed Tollett or Dolores Ed.
Yeah. So these are some random guys who are loyal to Jon. But why are they with Sir Davos? Why do they all arrive at the same time?
Yeah, it's just artistic license, I guess.
So everyone else is at that meeting or something, but they weren't invited?
Yeah, I guess so. And I guess they didn't notice the stabbing going on. And they're like, later when everybody's gone, then when they realize it. And they didn't hear Ghost howling before that. So it's, okay. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but...
And my next question is, why do they care about the body?
Very good question.
Why is nobody worried that he will turn into white?
That is an even better question. That's, I thought that too. Like, why? Okay, I mean, I guess they could leave him there for a minute or two, but I mean, I would burn him immediately. I wouldn't take any risks. Maybe they figured out that people have to be dead for 10 minutes before they can be reanimated, or I don't know.
The blood seems to be frozen. My impression is that he has been lying there all night. That several hours have passed.
Yeah, that was my first impression too, but then I figured, no, it can't have been that long. It must have been shorter time.
Because we have seen people turn to whites in Castle Black, right?
Yeah.
So my understanding is that he would be a white at this point.
Yes, but we don't really know exactly how that works.
Okay, but either way, they take Jon's body, which they seem to be very, very attached to, into this room.
Yeah. It's it's kind of like, I agree, like, why exactly are they doing this? It's not exactly clear. But wait a minute, about the white thing, I remember from season 1 when they had a couple of bodies coming in from beyond the wall, and then they woke up and started going rampaging. Or at least it was one body. But they might have been killed by the White Walkers in a way that they will be reanimated. So maybe you're not automatically reanimated.
Or they might have been killed outside the wall, which affects them. and makes them white. But if you're not killed in Castle Black, maybe you're safe.
Yeah, but you still wake up even if you. Yeah, so maybe if you're killed beyond the wall, you will be reanimated no matter where you wake up, or so to say.
Something like that. But
yeah, we don't know exactly.
The questions just continue here. Has Melisandre shows up?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, Sir Davos. And then, oh no, I saw him in the fire fighting at Winterfell.
Yeah.
But has Davos seen Melisandre at Castle Black again? Does he know that she's at Castle Black?
Yeah, I seem to remember her riding in Castle. Yeah, she returned to Castle Black late last season.
So why, or has he already asked her why she's there? Shouldn't he be like concerned about Stannis?
Yes, of course he's concerned about Stannis, and she has told him, I think, that Stannis is dead. I do not think that she told him how Shireen died, or otherwise she would not be alive.
But we have not seen her tell Davos anything here, right?
But she returned to Castle Black, and she looked him in the eyes, and she looked distressed. I mean, so I think that...
We will assume that they have talked.
Yeah.
That seems to be an interesting conversation. I would have liked to see that.
Okay, so she says, Sir Davos, Stannis is dead. Okay.
Yeah, but he should have like questions about how and where is Shireen,
yeah,
etc.
Yeah, she can't tell him what happened to Shireen, or she'll be dead.
I burned her.
Yeah.
Okay, skip forward to Ed Toilet getting a mission.
Toilet, please.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so he runs away to get the wildlings.
Yep. They don't say it's the wildlings, but it's pretty safe to assume that, I think.
Yes, I thought so. Oh, they didn't say wildlings? They just said other people who likes him, or what did they say?
Other people who owe their life to Jon Snow.
Okay, well, I think that's the wildlings.
Yeah, it's probably wildlings.
Yeah.
So, well, that I would have thought of that pretty quickly when I realized what the situation was like.
Yeah, but their fascination with Jon's body is interesting, but we'll see what happens with that, I guess.
All right, and then we have this meeting.
Yeah, so Sir Alistair comes out and says, yeah, I killed him. I killed Jon Snow and Bowen Marsh and whatever, some other guys there, the other officers.
We all killed
so he confesses
him. I was surprised at the loyalty that some of the Night's Watch had still. I thought they were all in on it.
Yeah, it looked that way during the stabbing, but he does not have 100%. We don't know. He has some of them. We know that some of them he does not have. The guys in the room, the Toilet and the others.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of people on the fence.
I think the best part of this entire thing was when Alistair shows up and bangs on the door to the room, and Davos talks to him.
Yeah. Can I have some mutton?
Yes.
But then they're like, thank you, Sir Alistair. We'll talk amongst ourselves and we'll tell you by nightfall.
Yes.
Okay, so why? And then Sir Davos says, I know a thing or two about this, and they will never let us leave here alive.
So why?
So they're gonna kill them. So why do they wait until nightfall? Why not kill them right now? It's just a door. Knock down the door and kill them now instead of waiting.
Yeah, there seems to be no point in waiting.
If they're gonna kill them. If they're gonna let them go, that's a different story.
Yes. So why shouldn't they let them go?
Yeah, why is Alistair Thorne waiting? Or I don't know.
Would anybody care about the crime committed at Castle Black?
Nobody outside of Castle Black really has dominion there.
No, so that's an internal Night's Watch affair. And Night's Watch is pretty short on people, so these four guys that are in there.
Yeah, but Alistair Thorne is not going to tolerate people going against him, so...
Yeah, probably not. So then Davos says that we have the Red Woman.
Yeah, and they have a direwolf too.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
Yeah, Yeah, we'll return to this, or should we talk about what happens at the end of the episode also?
No, let's talk about that at the end of the episode.
Let's move on to Winterfell then.
Oh yes,
where Ramsay is saying goodbye or something to the Kennel Master's daughter, which was like his first love or something.
so romantic.
Yes, he's such a romantic.
Yeah, he had feelings. We saw him have feelings.
Yeah, and then Roose tells his son that Sansa is important.
Oh, we have to talk about the fact of Miranda's burial.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Meister asks him if he wants the body cremated or buried.
Yeah,
And what does Ramsay say?
It's good meat. Give it to the dogs.
So, do you think that the Meister will actually give it to the dogs?
I would. I would not go against Ramsay if I was in his among his troops.
So then you're the Meister and you feed her to the dogs, and then Ramsay's like, "What do you do with the body? I feed it to the dogs. How dare you? Skin, flay.
But then Roose is on a suicide mission here.
Roose Bolton, yeah, yeah, he's playing with fire.
Yeah, first I like the line that he wants to reward the guy who killed Stannis. But then it's like, you better get Sansa, or I might have another son, and I don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
I really want to get assassinated.
Yeah, I think though that Roose trusts in his own ability to handle Ramsay, but that he might be wrong about that.
Yeah, Roose must be a total badass to have that attitude. I would be scared.
Yeah,
That's not my son.
There's some people who think that he's a skin-changing immortal, so...
So maybe it doesn't affect him. But why would he care about his heir if he's an immortal?
Because he's going to kill his heir and take on the skin and become the new Bolton.
Of course.
He's going to bolt on the skin of his heir.
Oh my god. Okay. So
top 10 crazy fan theories. Did you listen to that show? No, wait a minute. You were in that show.
We should make another one after this season. So let's go to Sansa then.
Sansa and Theon, they're running for their lives, but they're not running fast enough.
No, they have that wading into water thing, and I think if you wade into ice-cold water, you should be quicker about it, right?
Yeah. But if you're a wuss, you're a wuss.
Yeah, I think they would have severe frost injuries.
Yeah, you have to get out of those wet clothes right away. I mean, just hugging your friend there was not going to help. Yeah, but I think he's right. I would rather freeze to death than be flayed alive.
Probably, yes. Okay, and then 6 guards and a couple of dogs show up.
Mm-hmm. But they're no match for Brienne and Pod.
Yeah, first we have Theon's fantastic plan to tell them that she's not under the tree right nearby, but the dogs can smell her.
Yeah.
So,
it's a vain attempt.
And isn't it extremely convenient that Brienne shows up? I was screaming at the TV like, Brienne will show up now! And she did.
Yes,
just
it was
like
extremely convenient.
In the preseason show.
Yeah. Very well done.
Oh, thank you.
1-0 to you. You got 1 point so far.
I like to go back to the the top 10 fighters of Westeros show we did as well, because Brienne shows that she will defeat anyone, but she will do it in a gritty way, and she will always struggle. So
yeah,
this fight was a bit strange. She was fighting one guy at the time. The other guys were doing something else, except that one was fighting Podrick.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs mysteriously disappear. They're just gone from the scene.
Yeah, that's really weird.
We have seen these dogs hunt the Ironborn, fully armed.
Yeah.
And they are just it's Brienne, let's get out of here. Hey, I smell the Kennel Master's daughter on the barbecue. Let's go back.
Well, I mean, as for Brienne's strength, how strong is Brienne? She's just enough. Strong,
She's
just enough.
always just enough.
Yeah. She's never going to have an easy fight in her whole life. She's always going to be just on the brink of defeat.
Yes, and she got some help from Podrick, who apparently have been practicing.
Well, she did say in the last season that we will practice twice a day.
Oh,
so you will get better.
That kind of worked.
Yeah.
And even Theon does something useful.
Yes, even he can stab a guy from behind.
Very nice, Theon.
Well, it was needed, so he did what needed to be done there. So he's coming back now. More Theon, less Reek.
Yeah, I think Reek seems to be entirely gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this scene that people are really happy about. For the first time in a very long time, Sansa is surrounded only by good people who wants her to do well.
Yes, I like that scene where Brienne swears her loyalty to Sansa. And Sansa is trying to figure out the words to use, and Podrick helps her.
It was really nice, and it was so much of a feel-good scene. We don't get those very often in Game of Thrones.
I felt very good.
Yeah, it was super nice. And finally somebody accepts Brienne's service. Which is a good move, I think.
Yeah, but she had one job. She should look for the candle in the window, and she botched that, so...
Yeah, but she's forgiven now.
Yeah, let's say so.
All right, King's Landing then.
King's Landing. Jaime returns to King's Landing with Marcella, or rather her body, because she was poisoned by the sand snakes.
Yeah, I might have been watching this episode too many times already, but I was kind of surprised at Franken Mountain, Robert Strong, or whatever his name is, because he's just standing there on the beach. He's already there when Cersei arrives.
I guess he's fast.
Yeah, it's like she's running from her room, and he's like, I predict that she will go to the beach. So I jump out the window, and being a Franken Mountain,
if he's undead, he can jump out any window. And
then I stand there just as if I've been there all the time.
Maybe he was patrolling the beach or something.
Maybe. Okay, maybe I'm getting into too much detail here.
Yeah.
Marcella is dead.
And Jaime and Cersei, they're like, revenge, revenge.
And as I predicted, Jaime did not do the sensible thing and just turned back. He was 100 meters from the shore in Dorne. He could just have gone back, asked Doran, what's happening? Why did somebody poison Marcella?
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Well, instead of going to Dorne to deal with it, this time he did the other thing, sending the letter.
Yeah, he did.
Like Doran said last time, why didn't you just send the letter?
Okay, that's why he sent the letter. That makes sense.
And we'll come back to the letter, but now we're going chronologically here. So the next thing we talk about is that Maggie is still incarcerated.
I want to dwell on Jaime and Cersei a little there.
Because
we have this twincest rekindling scene that we are like, it's you and me against the world.
Yeah.
And we will have our revenge. We will take back all that was taken from us.
How does that work?
Yeah, I would like to see that. And no mention at all of Tommen. He's
useless.
One child alive. Let's care about him, but no.
Nope.
And Prince Trystane was obviously on the ship with his wife-to-be. And they have now left him in the ship.
Now, he must have returned to Dorne.
No, I still think he's in the ship. We'll return to that when we get to Trystane then.
Okay.
So, what's next? It's Maggie.
Maggie's still incarcerated and they're trying to get her to confess, but I guess she's tougher than Cersei. Because she doesn't...
was no point to this scene, I feel.
I think the point was to remind us that Maggie is still incarcerated, and Laura's probably too.
I think this might have been the Game of Thrones episode, the most different scenes, because we get a lot of check-ins with characters, and this was like, okay, Maggie still in prison, check.
Yeah.
High Sparrow still trying to make people pious, check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I agree. It was like, instead of going back and forth between like 5 or 6 different plotlines characters, you had like 10 different ones, and you only went back to the wall at the end of the episode. That was pretty much it.
And we even didn't get to check in with Loras at all, because the High Sparrow wouldn't tell us where he was.
Yeah, but I think he's still incarcerated. But I mean,
Probably, yeah.
so you would have liked one more scene in the prison with Loras, where High Sparrow is saying, "Oh, Maggie's over there," or whatever.
No, I think this scene could easily have been cut from this episode.
Yeah, and the Loras scene was easier then.
Yes, and some more time could have been spent in other places.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have preferred it not to be Dorne, but I think we have to go to Dorne now.
Yeah, in Dorne, we have this scene with Prince Doran and his captain of the guards, Ariota, and Elara Sand and Tien Sand. And they're hanging out, and he's happy that they have... they're playing nice now or something.
Did he walk around earlier, Prince Doran?
I only remember him sitting in his chair or sitting in a sofa.
Yeah, so I got the feeling now, it's things are looking better for Prince Doran. He's getting
Well,
better.
he wasn't jumping around, frolicking in the grass or anything. I mean, he was...
No, I thought it was at least this was like showing some improvement, that Prince Doran will recover. But that was obviously not the point of this scene.
No, the scene... okay, so the letter arrives telling us... a letter from Jaime Lannister, perhaps then, that Marcella is dead.
Yes.
And so Prince Doran reads this, and before he can do anything about it, Tien Sand kills Ariota, and Elara kills Prince Doran, and all the other guards are in on it.
Yeah, except that Meister guy with the message.
Okay, but he wasn't the guard at least.
No, but everyone else in all of Dorne, which is like 30 people according to what we've seen, they were in on it.
So Prince Doran died clueless.
Yes.
That's not how he seemed in the books. He seemed a lot more informed in the books. But here he's like, he and Ariota are like completely clueless.
I got 2 spoilers when researching what people had said about this episode. One was the content of the letter, which made some things make more sense. But I won't spoil that here.
Okay.
The other thing was that, the other thing I can say, that they took a character who, Prince Doran, who was very patient and pretended to be boring in the book. And they made him truly boring in the show. And he's killed because he was boring, right?
Oh,
he didn't do anything. He just sat around.
Then you must die.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, nobody's attacking me yet. Okay, but...
And poor Ariota, this great warrior, stabbed by pocket knife.
Yeah, but he was... I think he was the only foreigner in the Royal Guard. He was from from Norvos.
Okay.
And this reminds me of the tradition of medieval kings to have the Royal Guard come from a completely different country.
So they are fully dependent on the Lord.
Exactly. So they die with the Lord, and then they can't really betray the Lord, because then they know they will die themselves. So you still see this tradition with the Pope today, because he picks all his bodyguards from Switzerland.
Because he likes to have his watch functioning and have a lot of chocolates.
Yes, he wants them to keep watch.
So Ilaria's plan here is to wipe out the Bartell house and then be... Who is now ruling Dorne? She's just ruling Dorne, and the 30 people in Dorne are like, oh, of course you are.
The plan is to wait until the letter arrives and kill him at that exact moment, and hope that he doesn't randomly receive the letter the day before, and then he can
Why did they wait for the letter?
Because it's more dramatical. It makes better TV, they think, but it's also make more illogical TV.
Yeah, I felt there was a lot of cheap moments in this episode. I did like the episode, but the more I think about the episode, the less I like it. Because there were such convenient moments. Brienne shows up exactly at that moment. And this... but what's the plan in Dorne now? Who is in line for the House Martell?
Well, Trystane was in line, but then the next scene we see Obara and Numeria kill him. Where do you think it was? I got the feeling that he was on a ship when they attacked him.
Yeah, I have very distinct feelings about that scene, but I'd like to dwell here for a little while more because I want to... House Martell have existed since long before the Targaryen conquest.
Yeah.
And there were only like a few people in the house. So the only one we know, shouldn't the eldest of the Sand Snakes now be in line for the throne? Ilaria can't be in line for the throne, right?
No, she can't. She can't be in the line for the throne.
But the Sand Snakes are the heirs of Oberyn.
But the problem is then that the oldest Sand Snake, Obara, she is a bastard.
But they're all bastards, right?
Well,
they are Sands, right?
Some of the Sand Snakes are the daughters of Elara Sand. And yeah, she's not his wife; she's his paramour. So I guess he doesn't have any true-born daughters. So I think all of the Sand Snakes then are bastards, or they're all called Sand.
Yes, but they still have a better claim than anyone else, especially than Ilaria.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're much better claim than Ilaria.
Maybe that will play out later.
In the books, Doran has more kids, but here he seems to only have one son.
Yes.
And then, well, so I guess the Sand Snakes are the closest to it, or maybe some people from a completely different house or something.
I also wonder if they filmed again in that location, or if this was shot at the same time as season 5.
I think so.
Because it felt a bit like, okay, everybody hated Dorne last season, so now we'll kill off Dorne in the first episode.
Well, but on the other hand, you could now see a real conflict between King's Landing and Dorne.
Definitely.
Because now they can't just send a letter and have Doran punish the culprits. Now you have to invade them to make them pay.
Yes. Okay, let's go to the boat. The thing that Trystane is doing, he is in a boat. I think we can, in a ship. I think we can.
Okay.
Because it kind of looks like a ship with the windows and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And did you see what he was doing?
Was he writing a letter?
No, he was painting eye stones. For Marcella's burial. And from the content of the letter as well, I think that he was in King's Landing. So he knows that she's dead.
Okay.
He is forced to remain on the ship. But he's not guarded, which is very strange.
And how did the Sand Snakes get there?
So apparently some time had passed since they arrived. So I thought about this, and Obara and Nymeria must have gotten on another ship because he saw them at the dock when the ship left.
Yeah.
So they must have gotten on another ship, and now they got there like some hours later. And then they snuck onto the ship and killed Trystane in this horrible dialogue scene with amazing special effects. The stabbing through the face was pretty gross.
Yeah, looks really good.
But the dialogue
bad for him. Yeah, very cheesy.
But this just completes the old scene. Now the scene before it. But now you sort of wonder, what will Obara and Nymeria do if they are indeed in King's Landing? I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. First, I thought, okay, so is he back in? So is he sitting on a ship in the harbor there in Sunspear in Dorne? But why would he hang around on the ship while the ship has already arrived at port?
And he did go with Myrcella, right? We saw him with Jaime and Myrcella last season.
Yes, but he could have they could have made a stop before King's Landing, and he could have gotten off and then tried to take a ship going south again.
Yeah, that could have happened. We just don't know. It seems like sloppy storytelling.
Or maybe you're right. Maybe they are at King's Landing.
I think they are.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Trystane went north to King's Landing with Myrcella, but after she died, he might want to go back. So I assume that he will go back. But maybe he wants to take his place on the small council.
Yeah, let's move on to the next scene, so I don't speak about that later.
Okay. It's Tyrion and Varys. They're walking around in Marine.
Isn't that crazy?
Unguarded. I mean, they tried to kill Daenerys when she had like 100 bodyguards.
Yes.
And they're going to walk around with no bodyguards.
And it's like, there are so many dwarf merchants in Marine, so nobody will recognize me.
Exactly. But what if a cock merchant shows up and wants to... never mind.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit crazy. It was pretty funny when the woman thought that he wanted to eat the baby.
Yeah.
But I think Varys came off as very shady in this scene.
How so?
He's like, speak perfect Valyrian, and he is, who is behind the Sons of the Harpy? Who could it be? My little birds are everywhere. So you are behind the Sons of the Harpy.
My birds have already taken flight. That was cheesy.
And who is looking at them?
Yeah, we don't know if that's supposed to mean something or not.
I think it was supposed to mean something.
But why can't they just include a platoon of Unsullied escorting them around the city? Why do they have to walk around by themselves?
I think it was like, we want to see what the city is like now. So we walk around in this perfect disguise. Would it be safe for two merchants to walk around the Marine?
Varys is a master of disguise, but Tyrion is not. And I mean, come on.
It was strange. I actually paused at the footage of this guy looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked a lot like Littlefinger. But it can't possibly be Littlefinger. It did look a lot like him.
Oh, that would be funny. That would be funny.
Then the fire starts.
Yes, the Marinese fleet is burnt up, I guess. Burnt down, burnt away.
The ships that were going to take her to Westeros.
Yes, so now if she's actually able to get back to Marine, she still has no ships to go to Westeros.
Yeah, and I felt like we knew she wasn't going to Westeros. This is no surprise.
This is not a problem anyway.
She will never get to Westeros.
Yeah. Exactly. She will never... It really looks bleak now.
Yep.
And then we have the next scene with Jorah and Dario.
Yes.
Jorah is a pretty good tracker.
Yeah, it was amazing that Jorah did everything in this scene. I felt like he was the one doing the tracking. He was like... He almost seemed to be in charge here.
Yeah.
And he had great comebacks to Dario's lines.
Strong. Very strong.
So they find the ring. Who didn't see that coming?
The breadcrumb, yeah.
And of course, with the markings from the riders, it was pretty obvious that that was the place to look. But
yeah, if you know any, I mean, if you're gonna miss a horde, you're not a tracker, I guess. But
the 500 Dothraki didn't see that ring.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like the grass was like crumpled down, and then like hours later the grass will get back up, and then it's easy to see. I don't know. I know nothing about tracking. I guess it's possible, but it doesn't seem likely that they will all miss the ring.
Where do you think Drogon is?
That's a very good question. Everybody missed him.
He apparently can move. He can move again because he was not there. He wasn't at his sickbed.
Yeah. Because the sickbed was right next to where the knives was taken, right?
They found the horn from the ram that he burned.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right at his sickbed, right? But maybe they didn't find...
Yeah, he must have taken... But, I mean, she leaves him and goes and gets surrounded by the Dothraki.
Yeah.
So other Drogon flies away. If he does fly away, the Dothraki will see it.
Yes.
Or he hides... Or does he walk away?
Or maybe he just had burned a random ram. Did they see the pile of bones that were at his sickbed?
I don't know. It could have been a completely different ram than the one at the sickbed. So, but somehow the Dothraki missed him. Either he rode past him, or he flew away and didn't see him, or something.
And he apparently isn't flying after the Dothraki because he would catch up with them.
Yeah.
So
in a minute.
Where is Drogon?
Where are my dragons?
So let's move to Daenerys then.
Daenerys, we see, she's captured by the Dothraki. And first we see this horde, but there were so few horse people, and most of the people were walking. So I got the feeling this was a big horde of captured people, of prisoners.
Yeah.
And some Dothraki interspersed within them. So maybe she's
strange, actually.
Yeah, and they didn't have that many burdens either. So I mean, if you're traveling, the Dothraki must have lots of horses with all their stuff on, and then carry stuff themselves, maybe also.
Maybe.
And if you don't have horses, you have to carry more stuff. But they looked like they had no burdens at all.
But we now learn at least that it's a totally different Khalasar.
Yes, ruled by Khal Moro.
Almoro, and I was so confused by him. I was like, I recognize this guy. He must be one of the Blood Riders. But I recognized him from Spartacus.
Oh,
It
okay.
was Liscus the Gaul in Spartacus.
Oh, okay. But he doesn't recognize her, so
No, so
he
obviously doesn't know of her. And he must have the worst intelligence service, because he doesn't seem to have heard of the Mother of Dragons. He barely knows of Marine, it seems.
Yeah. Maybe he's been away somewhere else, deep in the grass sea.
I loved the conversation about what is best in life. It reminded me of Conan the Barbarian.
Tell me, Conan, what is best in life? Defeating your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women.
Yes.
But breaking in a new horse got in the top 5 there.
Yeah, he was so attentive to his blood riders and his wives. He was like adjusting his opinion. He seemed pretty weak.
It was a good scene though. But then it's like, it is okay. Seeing a naked woman for the first time is in the top 5. That's it. Shut up.
So maybe that's our next between seasons show. The top 10 best things in life.
Yes, defeating another Khal.
Yeah. So he wants to rape her, everybody wants to rape her, but they can't rape her because she's the widow of Khal Drogo.
Mm-hmm. So she must go to Vas Dothrak.
Yes, and be part of the
Widow clan.
Yes, who had some interesting name. And it looks like she doesn't know about this.
I think she knew about it, but she forgot about it.
She has to know about it, right? Because I did some research and found out that in season 1...
They were there.
They were there. They weren't mentioned, but they were in the scene when she ate the heart.
Yeah, so she must have known about it.
Yeah, so she's now off to Vas Dothrak to become a priestess, it seems. So the widows of the Khals have some religious function.
I know that, at least in the books, she learned about the widows hanging out at Vas Dothrak, but maybe it was only the books, maybe it was not a TV series.
But she spent so much time with them, she must have known that she was in Vas Dothrak.
She took enough time to learn to speak the language pretty fluently, then she must know at least some of the traditions.
Yeah, I think she does. So, how far away is that from where she's now?
Just far enough.
Far enough. It's a little finger episode away.
It's one, exactly.
It's one little finger away.
We don't count in inches, we count in little finger inches.
I have to mention that the timeline of this episode is extremely complicated. In some scenes there are like minutes, there's less than a day passing at the wall since last season. But the whole sea journey has passed. It's like nothing makes sense if you try to look at the timeline. Yeah,
and Cersei, her feet were all roughed up from the rough stones there on the streets, but now she's running around like nothing.
Yes,
and she looks like she had grown back some hair. And
I would have loved to see some politics from King's Landing there, because her standing in King's Landing was pretty precarious at the end of the last episode. But now the High Sparrow is like content to have her in the castle for her trial.
Yeah. When is that going to be?
Will she go to her trial? Will she send from the mountain? Why? She could just hold up in the Red Keep then. But I don't know what's...
Okay, so I guess they had some kind of power struggle where Margaery and Cersei both tried to control Tommen. But now with Maggie imprisoned and Cersei back in the Red Keep, I guess she has free reign to influence Tommen.
And what's his name? The other Lannister, Kevin.
Kevin Lannister.
In charge, right, of King's Landing, officially.
They looked like they were in charge when she returned, but I don't know what happened since then.
Kevin is the hand of the king now.
Okay, so yeah, but that was then. But it looked like it passed weeks, so maybe they're still that way. Maybe he's still hand of the king, and so then Pycelle and Kevin Lannister is running the show.
I think we'll see a showdown there, or at least see it addressed in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So let's.
But maybe Cersei.
Oh, you were saying?
Maybe Cersei is just trying to recuperate from the shock and the physical and mental wounds that she received.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's go to Bravos.
To Bravos. Arya and the Waif. Arya is begging now. A beggar.
Yeah, apparently doing well.
We were wondering, would she be turned out from the House of Black and White? And well, we don't know where she goes at night. Maybe she returns to the House of Black and White at night after she's done begging.
She didn't look exiled. I think if she was exiled into begging, wouldn't she have been quite happy to hear the voice of the waif? Or is she,
I don't know.
She just seems surprised.
Do you think the waif is just beating her up because the fun of it, or is it part of it?
No, it's all part of a training. I was waiting for a Silvio Forel quote from the waif.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was like, okay, they are going to reveal that Silvio Forel was a faceless man.
You got the waif instead.
But they didn't.
What? Hello?
Hello? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Good.
You were waiting for Silvio Forel?
I was waiting for a Silvio Forel quote from the waif. Because this was a training thing, just like the water dancing. And if she had given a line that was from Silvio Forel, it would confirm that he was a faceless man.
Or maybe that Silvio Forel is the waif.
Yes, that's the nature of the faceless man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is part of the training, but we can't be sure. Maybe she's just beating her up because it's fun.
I think she isn't, because that wouldn't lead anywhere. So I think this is just... worst case, it's another season of Arya training.
Well, you can't become a faceless man in one season. Or can you? Well, it depends on if you have a TARDIS.
Yes. Okay, off to the finale of the episode.
Then we go back to the wall. And where we have a scene with Melisandre, where she's getting undressed to go to bed.
Yes.
And suddenly...
I must interrupt you there, because...
Yes.
I was saying to the TV, it's like, oh, what are you going to do now, Melisandre? You got to resurrect Jon Snow. You can't just go around showing your tits. That won't help you here. And then she starts to unbutton her blouse, showing her tits. I was like, no, I just told you not to. Okay, please continue.
Why would you tell her not to do that?
Because I'm a more okay. Continue.
Because you're a married man, yeah, sure. You're going to claim the moral high ground, really? Really?
Please continue.
Okay, so she gets undressed, and then suddenly her appearance changes.
Yes.
Or something. Do you think that she changed, or that our perception of her changed?
I got the feeling that she was beaten. She felt defeated. Her faith was shattered.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, she didn't care and took off the necklace that had this spell on it.
Oh, the necklace with the ruby is the spell that...
Yes, and that this is her true form, because she is extremely old.
Yeah.
That was the impression I got.
Mm-hmm.
What's your impression?
Well, my impression was it looked like she was that the ruby was distorting our perception of her.
Yes.
So she's been old all along, but now we could see her as a true form because she took off the necklace.
And it was some amazing makeup there. Apparently it was an actor for the body up to the neck. And then it was Carice van Houten with prosthetics for the head.
The special effects are just amazing there.
Yeah, and it was like, it was very, well, she's pretty old.
Yeah. And this is, of course, right before this, they talk, Sir Davos and some of the Night's Watch talk about Melisandre, and they're like, well, Melisandre can't help us, can she? And he's like, you haven't seen what she can do. I have.
Yeah, so, she could probably help them, but will she?
Well, hopefully we'll see in next episode, or the one after that.
Okay, so then maybe this necklace is her magical thing that makes her appear younger. And if you look...
It would seem that way, but there might be other interpretations as well.
She has been in 20 episodes. She has been wearing the necklace in every scene.
Okay.
Particularly in the scene where she was poisoned. The necklace was... it lit up. Showing that it was protecting her from the poison or something.
Okay.
But there is one scene in episode 7 of season 4 where she does not wear the necklace.
Oh no.
For 3.5 minutes of screen time.
Which episode 4, was it season 4, episode 7?
Yes, it's when she is in the bathtub and Celise comes in. And she convinces Celise to bring Shireen to the wall.
How lame.
If you go back and look at the scene, which I did before this, Celise's expression is really weird. So my first interpretation, when I saw that episode 2 years ago, I thought that she was ashamed by the nudity. But if you look at the scene again, it kind of looks like Celise is seeing this old crone the entire scene. And Melisandre says the strangest things to her. Something along the line that you are so devoted to the faith, you are so far into the faith that no lies work on you anymore. You can see the truth.
And I do remember this scene now. It was this really weird scene. I didn't understand what they were talking about.
It seemed that the point of the scene was to get Shireen to the wall, but it was so long. It was 3.5 minutes. So I think my interpretation of the scene, having rewatched it, go back to episode 7 of season 4, and I think Celise is seeing this form.
Cool.
And she is so deeply indoctrinated that she doesn't care. She's just, oh, you are awesome, whatever you do. And there's this talk about how Melisandre seduces men and stuff. It's all really rewatchable now, that scene. Maybe
Queen Celise is more okay with Stannis hanging out with Melisandre than when she sees that she's an old crone.
Yeah, she seemed to be okay with it anyway, because she was so fanatic.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting thing. There are some other interpretations around on the internet. Did you have another one?
Well, it could be that the ruby makes her look like another person rather than looking like her younger self.
Ooh. Yeah, that's very open to interpretation.
But the fact that she looked like herself, but her older self, indicates that that's not the case, but it's not impossible.
Another theory was that with faith, if you are truly a fanatic follower of the Lord of Light, you sort of see this younger form anyway, without the necklace. So Celise was seeing the younger form in episode 7 of season 4.
Then that disgust thing doesn't make as much sense.
Or maybe it was just the nudity done. The third theory is that the producers screwed up, but they have been very careful with the necklace for 20 episodes. She has been in 20 episodes.
But shouldn't we have been able to see her as her old self then? Or are we...
I am fine with that. They can cheat the viewer like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm okay with it too.
how old do you think she is?
100 million. I don't know.
Because it is pretty interesting if she is like super old.
Mm-hmm.
If she is older than the Targaryen conquest.
Maybe she's the Red God.
I think Jaqen is the Red God.
Maybe she's Jaqen H'ghar.
Oh, that would be confusing. So, how did you feel about the first episode of season 6?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I'm ready for more.
I'm ready for more, and I really like the feel-good movement there with Brienne and Pod. I realized they were very convenient, but whatever.
Yeah, so
nice
let's see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm. And I like the fleet burning also. It's for us book readers, it's very interesting.
Okay. That I have to ask you about later. Much
later. Much later.
Okay, we are done. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Next week.
Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah. Game of fucking Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones. There are swords and things doing lightning tricks, and they'll take you out if you try to beat them. They'll kill you and stop you and make you Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones. In the lightning they come to take on everyone, and you know it's the Game of fucking Thrones.